Off by discussing the Memphis Grizzlies actually, and why I feel that they're the biggest threat to the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference. Then we will get in to the Australian Open finals that are coming up. So we'll do that, and then next week obviously we'll get back into the Super Bowl. But this is what I'm going to start doing for the Fridays now, is go more in depth with the NBA. Obviously, those of you who know with my YouTube channel, I do the weekly NBA reports every Tuesday. So that's just a brief overview of the league. So here, now that the NFL season is over, I will be doing more in-depth stories in this case. And I'm choosing today to start with the Memphis Grizzlies. There were a lot of things I could have done. A lot of stories, obviously, because you have the NBA All-Star reserves being announced and all that stuff. But I've noticed the Memphis Grizzlies and how well they've been playing over these past 10 games or whatever it is. They're all the way up to 27-20. They are still in the minus, of course, in their total differential for this season. But we discussed that many times. They got drubbed in the first couple games of the season. So now they're starting to climb and get out of that hole, and I expect them to be out of it relatively soon. Hopefully this team can get out of that hole that they've dug themselves in. As far as the hole, when we're talking about their differential for the year, hopefully they can get out of that before the All-Star break. If not, I would expect it to happen shortly after that. They won by 20 over Milwaukee last night, so that's going to help it. But let's get into why I feel maybe not. I should have. Maybe I went a little too far and said the biggest threat. I feel they're one of the, or they certainly have to be considered as a threat to the Golden State Warriors in that conference. You look, obviously, you have the teams, the San Antonio Spurs, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're good teams. You look at the Thunder, they have Russell Westbrook. They have a guy like a Kevin Durant who can certainly make things happen and take over games that Russell Westbrook can certainly combat. Steph Curry just a bit. I don't feel that the Spurs are that good of a matchup because Tony Parker, while he is a very good point guard, he should be going to the Hall of Fame someday. I just don't think he matches up defensively really well enough with Steph Curry, and I don't think he can put up the points with Steph Curry. Tony Parker is much more of a traditional point guard as opposed to Steph Curry, who is a point guard. He can handle, he can distribute, but certainly he can shoot from anywhere. Parker's worked on his shooting over the years. He's nowhere to the level of Curry, and Curry is just a playmaker on top of that. He can beat guys off the dribble. There's a lot more he can do as opposed to a Tony Parker. So now we get into the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies, of course, they have a solid veteran core unit. They have Mike Conley Jr., one of the more underrated players in this league. They have their big boys up front, and Zach Randolph and Marc Gasol. And they have the Tony Allen, who's a good defensive player. Now, Tony Allen is really where the Grizzlies got beat when they played the Warriors last year in the playoffs. When he's in a playoff game, they just stop defending him. He's a guy who really struggles to shoot. So you're going to have to manage him come playoff time and how you're going to use him in minutes. But certainly when he's in the game, he can shut down a Klay Thompson, disrupt a Steph Curry. I'm not sure anyone can really stop Steph Curry at this point. But you also have guys like Courtney Lee at guard, who's a good defensive guard and also provides a little bit more offense. You have Mike Conley Jr., who has been an all-defensive team member in the NBA. He's more of a guy who gets steals, though that's where he gets it. He's not that great of an on-ball defender, but still certainly some guy, or a guy who can provide some resistance. Now, Memphis can also score on the inside, and they can put the tempo to where they want it. Now, Memphis has to be efficient when they'll play a team like Golden State. They have to score. They can't get down. We saw that's what happened when they got up the 2-1 series lead. They started getting down big in a lot of these games because they weren't scoring early on in their half-court offense, and that really hurt them because they are not a team that can come back, especially on a team like the Golden State Warriors. So that's something they're going to have to do in the playoffs, and obviously a lot's going to move forward when we get to the playoffs, and a lot of things will be revealed throughout the season. Looking at it now, the Grizzlies are minus 1.7 in their differential, which is still pretty high considering they're 27-20. You look at a team like, we'll just take the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference, who are 26-21, so only a game less. They're plus 4 points in their differential. So you have a differential of 5.7 points between two teams that are only one game separated in the standings. Now, you have a team like the Atlanta Hawks who are 27 and 21, only a half game better, who are only +2 in their differential, but still, that's 3.1 points of differential, or 3.7 points of differential between the two teams. So you got to look at those numbers. But again, we discussed that they got throttled early. I mean, I think they lost like 50 points. That was to Golden State. It's a regular season game early in the year. So, Memphis Grizzlies, why do they need to be considered as one of the biggest threats to the Golden State Warriors? Veteran group they have, guys like Mike Conley, Marc Gasol, Zach Randolph, Tony Allen. Tony Allen's won a championship. All these other guys have accomplished basically everything but win a ring in this league. They're professional guys. The moment's never going to get too big for them. And Zach Randolph, Marc Gasol on the inside, two guys that can put the tempo to where they want to go when they play a team like Golden State in the playoffs, especially a team like Golden State, who you need to slow things down against. And also their defensive unit with their guards, because that's where Golden State is strongest, is their guard play. You have Mike Conley, Courtney Lee, Tony Allen, and a guy like Jeff Green, who is a very big and long defender and could possibly even try to mark up Steph Curry and put some size on him in a playoff series. So we started off with that. There's the Memphis Grizzlies. Certainly consider them and look for them and see what they do. They got a couple games now before the All-Star break, and let's see if this team can really stretch their legs coming out of the playoff break, or the All-Star break, that is. 27 and 20 right now. Can they get to 50 wins? That'll be a tough hill to climb. That means they would have to go 23 and 12 in their final 35 games. Certainly not impossible, though, but for a team that's only 27 and 20, you are asking a lot. So a lot will be revealed the rest of the way, and we'll certainly keep an eye on it.